Today we will be learning about lesson 5, which is comparing rational numbers. So our objectives for today, and you don't need to write this down, is to compare and order a given set of rational numbers. So you can do that given a set of rational numbers. Can you put them in order from least to greatest or vice versa? Can you find rational numbers between a given set of rational numbers? And can you determine the value of an indicated point on a number line? So before we go on to the lesson, I want you to take out your homework, which was your rational number worksheet, and we are going to mark that as a class. So pause the video if you need to. So here's the key. I'll show you where the marks are. Question number 1 is worth 4 marks. Question number 2 is worth 4 marks. And notice that, say for B, it's in lowest terms. So if they didn't put it in lowest terms, they get half marks if they put -1 and 6/18. Question number 3 is worth 4 marks. And question 4 is worth 4 marks as well. So the first page is out of 16. You can go back and pause the video wherever you need to. The second page, the first question is just going to be out of 2 marks. I'm not marking C, so this one's omitted. And then 6 is worth 4 marks for each sign. And 7 is also worth 4 marks for true or false. So that's 10 on this page, giving us a total of 26 for the worksheet. So I want you to put a mark at the top with out of 26 and then hand it in the bin. Pause the video whenever you need to. Okay, so we are now on lesson 5. This should say lesson 5. And you're going to have to pause the video quite a bit because normally I'm writing this down, but because there is already stuff here, you're going to have to write down the stuff that's already here. So write down lesson 5, comparing rational numbers. And it says, state 2 proper fractions that are opposite of one another. So opposite means opposite in terms of one is going to be positive and the other is going to be negative. So I picked 4/5 and -4/5. So then if I were to place these on a number line, I'm going to start with 0, and then I put 1 over here and -1 over here. And then I have to divide this section into 5 pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So notice in order to make 5 sections, I only have to put 4 lines. So now my points, I have 4/5 positive here and -4/5 here. So what can you tell me about their location on the number line? They are equal distances from 0. So although one is positive and one is negative, they're still the same distance from 0, one to the right and one to the left. Okay, next one. State 2 improper fractions that are opposite of one another. Okay, so an improper fraction in this case is going to be, let's just choose 13 over 6 and negative 13 over 6. Okay, then we need to convert your improper fractions to mixed fractions. So 13 over 6 is equal to 2 and 1/6, and negative 13 over 6 is equal to negative 2 and 1/6. Convert your mixed fractions to decimals. All right, so I know I'm going to have 2 decimal something for both of them, but one is going to be negative and one is going to be positive. And then I need to take 1 and divide it by 6. Okay, so I'm going to do that on the side here. Here's 1, and I'm dividing it by 6. So I can't take 1 and divide it by 6, so I need to add a decimal in. 10 I can divide by 6 one time to get me 4 left over. 4 I'm going to bring down a 0 and go 40 divided by 6. 40 divided by 6 goes evenly 6 times with the number 36, and then we're going to have 4 left over. So the same thing is going to keep happening. We're going to keep having 40 left over, which tells me it's going to be 0.16 repeating. So that's what is going to be at the end of my decimals here. And notice that the line is only over top of the 6. Okay, so are these decimals terminating or repeating? They are repeating. Okay, here's my number line, and now I have to place them. I'm going to start again with 0 in the middle. And then I'm going to put 1, 2, and 3. And on the other side, I'm going to put -1, -2, and -3. Okay, now that I have those labeled, I need to plot my points. In order to do that, I need to divide the section between 2 and 3 into 6 spots. So remember, that means I add 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And -2 and -3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then to shade my point, I count 1 out of the 6 sections, so the green dots here are going to be my numbers. So notice once again, they are the same distance from 0. All right, next one, write 3 rational numbers between the 2 given numbers. Use a number line and label appropriately. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to try this one on your own. Make sure you're writing the questions down. And then when you're finished, you can unpause the video and go through your answers together as a class. All right, so I have my benchmarks drawn on here. So now I'm just going to write 3 rational numbers in between. So I'm going to pick 0 as one of my rational numbers. I'm going to pick -0.5 as one, and then I'm also going to pick -2.1. Okay, any answer that you put here, many answers that you put here could be correct, but just double check with your neighbor that yours are correct. Right, the next one a little bit trickier. We put 0 over here, and I'm going to put -1 over here, and then I'm going to divide it into a couple groups. Actually, I changed my mind a little bit. I'm going to change the labeling just so I can make it a little clearer what's happening here. Okay, I'm going to make one point as -0.26, and then 1 point as -0.25. And notice that this is the direction that 0 is going to go. The bigger the negative number, the smaller it is. So to find a couple points in between here, I simply need to add some points, but what would those look like? Well, this one could be negative 0.252. This one could be negative 0.255. It's still between those two numbers, and this one negative 0.258. Okay, all three of those numbers are between negative 0.25 and negative 0.26. All right, next thing we need to do is practice ordering numbers. Now, I find it easiest to order numbers if they are all in the same format. Notice for this one, they're all in decimals. I think that makes things easier. So the first thing I need to do is start by making some benchmarks. So I'm going to put 0 in, 1, try and make my spacing a little more even here. 1, 2, 3. And then on the other side, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Okay, now I'm going to start putting numbers on. So 0.35 is going to be about here. 2.5, halfway between 2 and 3. Next one, negative 0.6. Okay, it's about right here. 1.7, right here. Negative 3.2. Oh, I skipped one. I skipped negative 0.6 repeating because that one's a little bit trickier. But remember that this is like saying negative 0.66666. We keep going on and on, which means that it's actually bigger than our terminating one. So I would add it in on this side here. Okay, so now I can list them from least to greatest. Negative 3.2 comes first, then negative 0.6 repeating, then negative 0.6, then 0.35, then 1.7, and then 2.5. All right, this next one I want you to write down and try on your own, and then you can go through it together as a class. So go ahead and pause the video. And remember, no calculators. All right, it is now time for you to practice. I want you to take out your textbook, turn to page 101, and do number 5 to 8 every other letter. 12 B and G, 13, 14 A, B, F, G, 19 to 21, 23 A and C, 24 A and C, and 27. So you can leave this up on the smartboard while you're working.